Hi, gorgeous soul, and welcome to Spiritually Empowered Podcast. This show is your go-to place to learn all about your psychic intuitive gifts, explore and unveil taboo topics, and discover new ways to walk in power on this planet that is undergoing a massive transformation. We each came here with a higher calling. This podcast will catalyze you into yours. I love to simplify and refine ancient mystical teachings and practices, let you in on my most personal revelations and shifts, as well as bring on soul-inspiring guests to support you with embodying your power and saying yes to your destiny today. I am so excited to dive deep with you. Let's begin. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Spiritually Empowered Podcast. I am your host, Ashley Coleman, the creatrix behind Winged Alchemy, and welcome to season 2 of this show. This is Mystic's Tea. I've got my tea right here in my spiritual gangster mug, and it is midnight. I'm at my parents' house out in the country on a beautiful piece of land, which when they were building this dream house by a beautiful river, I can't remember the name of the river, but I do remember putting crystals in the foundation and laying on this land and speaking to it and thanking it. Before we broke ground, I tried to ask for permission and connect and let it know that we're going to be moving in, and just to speak to it and to acknowledge it. And so I have a deep connection to this land. I literally have blessed crystals in the foundation of this house. And so it's a real special retreat-like space. And also I'm super privileged with my family, and it's just a really heartwarming, wholesome experience out here. Me and my mom love to watch House Hunters, and me and my dad love to talk about entrepreneurship and dreaming big and believing in your dreams, and this legacy of leaders and the common themes around healers and leaders and people who are really creating impact on this planet. So I really enjoyed that this evening, but here we are. I'm so happy to be with you. I'm talking a little bit more quiet because everybody's asleep, and here I am as a Pisces mystic at midnight, just how the show started, with me in my bedroom late at night, feeling the call and answering the call. Thank you so much for being here. How about we take a breath or two together and just taking a moment to feel your heart, to feel your body, to connect the spirit to matter, to feel this infinite part of you connect and share in reverence with the temporal part of you, your blood, your bones, that which will return to the earth, this marriage of spirit and matter that you literally are. That's massive. You are a miracle. And so I invite you into your breath, into your body, into your heart, to really land exactly where you are. Welcome to Mystic's Tea. Let's dig in. So I was curious. I love words and the etymology of words. So I looked up the origin of the word mystic. And it is from the Greek word mystikos, meaning secret or belonging to the mysteries. It's related to mystes, meaning an initiate, someone initiated into the secret religious rites of ancient mystery religions like the Eleusinian mysteries. Ultimately from the verb maien, meaning to close the eyes or lips, which was associated with the secrecy and silence of initiates. When I was studying for my minor in religious studies in college back in 2017-18 time period, I took a class on mysticism. And I also studied the Abrahamic religions and Zen Buddhism and world spirituality. But I took this class called Mysticism, and it just rocked me. It turned me on so much. I was so in it, so all about it. And I really want to bring us into this word right now. And my question for you, you wise, amazing being, we are besties. Like if you are vibing with this podcast, like I want to have some tea with you and pick your brain. And let's just do that together right now. Maybe you're drinking tea, maybe you're on the road, maybe you're doing dishes. Like we are besties right now. So let's dig in. So my question for you is, what comes to mind when you hear the word mystic? Like, I'm so curious. What are the visuals? What are the thoughts? Like, what arises rapidly? What are the first things? And if you have a journal, you can write that down. You can explore that because we each have our own unique corresponding symbols and stories and visuals and thoughts and language that we really get to unpack with these powerful words. So when you think of the word mystic, what arises for you? I want to go way back before organized religion, before the written language. I'm talking fucking Stone Age, like way back, closer to the time period of goddess worship, of a matriarchal society, of a tribal society. And mysticism has been a part of the human experience since the beginning of time. And it's about the question of, who am I? Where did I come from? What is God? What is the meaning of all of this? And think about before language, before the word God, we have this innate pull, some more than others, to the unknown, to the questions that we'll never answer as we're in a human body because it's unknown. We don't know the afterlife. We don't know what God is on an intellectual level. So we are in the realm of the mystic. We are in the realm of the unknown. And there has been this deep and consistent, almost like huntress energy in me, where I just seek that experience. And that's exactly what it is. Mysticism is an experience. And God cannot be named. God is the unnameable one. God is the great mystery. Mysticism is a personal relationship and experience with the mystery. You cannot put it in a box. You cannot rationalize it. You cannot squeeze it into a language. It is to be felt. It is to be experienced. And when I took the class on mysticism, it was saturated with poems and artistry. And that's what this is. The language of the mystic is art, is song, is dance. I think about the whirling dervishes and they're spinning and they're going into this trance and they're having a palpable somatic experience of whatever their intention is, right? Call it God. I don't know what they would call it, but they're in the experience and the act of prayer. And if you haven't heard of the whirling dervishes, look that up. It's absolutely fascinating. They are in a trance-like experience of divine remembrance, It's greater than remembrance. It is divine activation. It is divine embodiment. Mysticism is waking up to the mystery while you're on earth. And so the language of the mystic is art, is poetry, is what's behind the words. And that's why I say, whenever I share, whenever I teach, whenever we hang out, it's a transmission. There's things moving within you probably. There's things happening behind the words. There is a world that cannot be described, only felt and experienced. And so a person who identifies as a mystic is someone who seeks the remembrance and the embodiment of the God of their own understanding. Reading about it in a book isn't enough for this type of a person. They want to feel it in their bones. They want to go on the mountaintop and have a personal, felt experience of spirituality. And you can't really control those moments. I've had those moments in the Kroger parking lot. I've had those moments in San Jose, California. I've had those moments during orgasm or with a lover. I've had those moments. And they're spontaneous. Satori is a Zen Buddhist word that means really spontaneous knowledge of something. And meditation is a date with God. Silence is the language of the mystic as well. If there were two languages, it would be silence and it would be art. So we build or we create the frame through which mystical experiences arise. A lot of people do plant medicine as a frame. Now that's not usually a very secure frame. That can have holes in it, that can have extraterrestrial or entity attachments. Whenever you're using substances to attain a mystical experience, you are at greater risk for astral interference. They call alcohol spirits for a reason. There is a whole world, though, of plant medicines and mysticism, and that's not what this podcast is about. There's a whole world of that. I respect that and I honor that, and I've taken part in that. Where I am today is I don't need those tools. I choose not to use those tools. And to be completely honest, sometimes I do microdose on mushrooms, and I do, to a certain degree, believe in the power of psychedelics. Now, for me, in my relationship with that, it's quite rare that I do that, and I don't feel the effects. There's not a felt sense of it. It's meant to be literally for brain health and to support that chemistry of my brain to open up new neural connections. So full transparency there. Other than that, every now and then, it is me and life and the rawness of life. I also love cacao, but that's, this conversation is not about plant medicine. Although I do want to say that when you are working with some of the stronger plant medicines that have been used and still are used to experience the mystical, you are at greater risk for interference, just like I said, right? So I'll leave that there. There's plenty of other shows and talks and workshops and trainings and that can be a part of your exploration there if you're interested in that. But I want to stick to mysticism and the experience of being a mystic and where that can lead you. And just this identity piece of somebody who is quite feral. Feral means to be demasked or unconditioned. It's very Taoism. To be unmasked and to be unconditioned. This is the realm before organized religion. Organized religion, like everything, has its light and its shadow, right? Law of balance. One of its greatest shadows is, there's a lot, but one of them is this focus on a middleman, this focus on a person that somehow, or a book that somehow has greater or more direct access to the fucking force that started your heart to beat. No comprehendo. There is nothing closer to God than your breath. You are a living, breathing bridge between the worlds. Now, people can activate that remembrance, and the Bible might be life-changing, and this is not, I am against organized religion, but I do want to point out some of the big problems here. The burning of the books, the killing of the indigenous wisdom, and the focus on conforming to their way. A wild, fucking rich spiritually, rich physically, materially, if that's even a word, a free thinker, a feral mystic that is fully embodied in this world is a fucking threat, is a danger to the systems. They know that. And we could have a whole conversation about the witch trials. And so if you're a mystic, you're already a rebel in society, because you are a free thinker, and free thinkers aren't as easily manipulated, period. So if you have felt this feeling of, God, I don't really fit in, and I just feel different, and I feel almost like rejected sometimes, or I feel just questioned or even looked down on, or like you're crazy, or like you feel things, or like there's nothing over there that you're talking to, like that's not real. Welcome home. Welcome home right now to your tribe. I will be your tribe. And just thinking about myself as a young girl having a lot of terrors with these other worlds and not having a steward to walk me through that in this life. And I get to be that shaman and that steward for my inner child. I get to say, sweetheart, let me protect you in these other realms, right? Protection in the physical realm is one thing, but protection in the energetic realm is another thing, and that is the landscape of the mystic. The more about the language of this realm is that it's symbolic. It's rooted in symbols and emotions. This is the territory of the unconscious mind. And synchronicity is that state of being in the flow of the Tao, so to speak. Speaking of Taoism, there's this teaching of the uncarved block, and it is essentially to be the full essence of what you are, uncarved, like society carves us, and we're so conditioned, right? And so returning to this inner mystic is you're fucking feral. You cannot and will not follow the masses. You are here to find out for yourself. Where if everybody says go left and your God says go right, you better go right. That's my deepest desire for you, is that you remember who you are. And this identity piece is huge, and it changed my life forever. And I used to really identify with the light worker. And that can go into this whole light polarized situation where you're all light and love. And I totally was there. And that was an important phase for me of being in those higher chakras. And now I've been really deepening into my base and thinking about and manifesting money and having an opinion and having an ego and actually being a separate self and developing my separate self. And that is really the task of the spiritualist, somebody who was born attuned to the mystical, attuned to the higher realms, attuned to oneness. The task for us is to develop an ego, to go into the root, to deepen. And we can't have this conversation without talking about the heartbeat of Mother Earth. The first spiritual practice was probably listening to the rivers. It is absolutely shamanic and real, in my opinion, and belief that the mystery is here. God is here. This is the teaching of immanence. And I have that podcast episode on transcendence and immanence, and it's gold, these teachings to me. Immanence is what you're fucking looking for, is closer than the big vein in your neck. Rumi says it. Rumi is a Sufi mystic who talks about the beloved. It's this heart yearning for God. I crave nothing more than the taste of God. This is mysticism. I seek you, beloved. I thought I wanted tons of money, and I thought I wanted, love from the physical world, and maybe I do, but what I really want is I want to taste my Creator. I was actually thinking in my head, I want to be fucked by the mystery. It is erotic. Mysticism is inherently erotic because it's a felt experience. And mysticism can also be the experience of grief and the purging of emotions, right? So it's just the full spectrum of our intimacy with God in the world. It's stepping onto a piece of land and saying hi to it. This is called animism. Seeing God in everything, in the rocks, in the rivers, and in shamanism, in the path that I've studied. The stones are the wisdom keepers, the stone people. They're so wise. They've seen frickin' everything. And I remember my teacher, Alberto Villoldo, saying this old medicine woman said to him, the secret to shape-shifting, like turning into a puma and taking the energy of the sun, or just being in this intimate, magical relationship with life, the secret to shape-shifting, to taking on new forms, to shifting your identity, to being fluid in what you are. That's true freedom. The secret to shape-shifting is to know that you are no that you are no more important than an ant and no less important than the sun. Let's take a breath on that. You are no more important than an ant and no less important than the sun. Mysticism is that unifying force. Can you feel that? Where the bullshit hierarchy teachings that have been enslaving humanity for far too long crumble at the feet of this inborn wisdom. This is to be remembered, not learned. This is a path, sure, maybe there's a little learning, but it's actually unlearning. The uncarved block is already the fullness of its essence. It is a return to what you are. It is a return to the heartbeat of your Creator. Rumi says, what you are looking for is closer than the big vein on your neck. Let the arrow drop. This is to be spiritually satiated. And the ancient mystics of old taught that the physical world can't really satiate our spirit at all. And you know this because people who have damn near nothing can be so fulfilled. We know this. They can be so rich on the inside, and people who have all the material stuff they could want and more, they can be so vacant. We know this. So having in the material world does not mean that you are rich in spirit. And the idea, my darling, is to be rich in both worlds, is to be wealthy in spirit and to be wealthy in matter, whatever that means for you. Thank you so much for tuning in with me with Mystics Tea, season number 2. There is so much more to unpack here and enjoy. But just remember, what you are most hungry for never left you. It's so close, you forgot it was there. What you are so wanting never left. And that's when we wake up from spiritual amnesia. This is the world of the mystic. We awaken again and again and again. This is waking up in the dream. When you are satiated spiritually, you are free. You are no longer codependent with the circumstances of your life. You are free. And you get to go out and play in this 3D world and make love and make mistakes and be this imperfect, magical human, knowing that this is just a passage, right? This is just a passage for us on this planet. That we truly are spirit, the great mystery manifest. And the most beautiful thing is to not know, is to be the fullness of that mystery and to laugh a little bit, to write a song, to have a peach with a child. Awakening happens in the mundane. It happens right now. You forgot, and then you wake up, then you forgot, then you wake up. And before you know it, you're on your knees sobbing and laughing at the same time because everything is right. And you can't explain it, but you just feel it. And I know you've had those experiences. I really do believe that, where all of a sudden you're just struck with a feeling of awe and wonder. And it may have happened unexpectedly, right? Unexpectedly. So an invitation for you, my love, if you want to receive this, is light an incense for your land that you live on. Say a prayer. You can light an incense, you can say a prayer, you can say hi to a tree, and really feel the silence of that wisdom. And there's a transmission, there's a connection, there's a heartbeat. We all have indigenous blood in some way. We all come from the earth. We are all one at a certain level of consciousness. And we are also separate. And that's this play of the Maya, of this temporary experience of witnessing separateness. And it's a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to wake up to the spirit, to the God of your own understanding, because you're going to have so much more fun. It's going to feel so much more alive and erotic and mysterious, and the synchronicities are going to be popping off. So invitation to go read some Rumi, to write some poetry, to bring your art to the forefront of your life, to celebrate throwing paint on the wall, making mistakes, to really be in the longing of your heart. The mystic longs. It is the sweetness of longing for that beloved and the awareness that it never left. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Send this to one of your spiritual besties if you have someone in mind that you feel would really take something from this chat. And I'm very excited for the next episode. I will see you soon. Love you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you absolutely loved this episode. And if you did, please remember to leave a review and share some love. I will see you in the next one.